Welcome. I've got an awesome topic for us. According to someone that should know, the ingredients, the situation is ripe and right for Deion Sanders to exit Colorado after their 36-14 Alamo Bowl loss to BYU. This isn't a prediction. It's not someone saying it's going to happen. It's someone who's in the know that followed the program real closely and says, hey, I think the tea leaves are pointing towards Deion leaving Colorado. And this person told me this because going into the Alamo Bowl, Colorado, out of NIL money, just doesn't have the budget for what Deion was doing for Shedeur, for Shiloh, for Travis, for Jordan Seaton, and for a handful of their top players. They got to the Alamo Bowl and had to do everything, this is according to my source, had to do everything on a strict budget. That the BYU players and team, they got amazing gift bags, had an amazing bowl experience, and Colorado was on a very strict budget. And the players were frustrated by it. This was not the typical bowl experience that Colorado had, and that is why Colorado didn't take the bowl game that seriously. And that is why Colorado's effort was so poor in that game. They got trounced. I mean, that 36-14, that's bad, but it was much worse than that. As many of you know, I was supposed to be at that game, decked out in Colorado gear. I told you all up front, if they went to the Alamo Bowl, that was going to be problematic for me, because it's played on December 28th, the same day that I had agreed to participate in the wedding of my adopted family, in the 50-year renewal of vows for Kirk and Susie May. They're part of my adopted family in Kansas City. I lived in Kansas City from 1994 to 2010. This family welcomed me into their family. I welcome them into my family. Kirk and Susie May, but again, I don't like to call them friends, because the relationship since 1995, obviously, 29 years, nearly 30 years, has gone well past friendship. And so I had to participate in the wedding. I gave Susie May away at the wedding. I walked her down the aisle, me and her son, Blake, who's like a little brother to me. And so I was unable to attend the game. And I was unable to watch the game because the festivities we were involved in Las Vegas, and the renewal of these vows. And it's the first Colorado game in 2 years that I missed. How, I mean, it's just amazing how I somehow miss the greatest Colorado game, because this is better than what Oregon did to Colorado last year. This is far better than what Oregon did. And I know Oregon trounced them and embarrassed them, but this is BYU. BYU is no threat to win a national title. BYU is not one of the top 5 teams in the country, one of the top 10 teams in the country. BYU, top 20 team, I think finished 3rd. Now you'd have to say they have the tiebreaker over Colorado. So BYU would be the 3rd best team in the Big 12, and they absolutely embarrassed Colorado, and I didn't get to watch one snap of it. That was very disappointing. I didn't even follow the score. It wasn't until the end, until after the wedding, we're all at the post-wedding reception and dinner, and late in the deal, I was like, oh my God, Colorado's playing. Let me check the score. And I looked at it, I was like, are you kidding me? How did I miss this? And I texted John Hadley. I was like, man, you got to give me the details on this. I can't believe it. But anyway, I didn't get to watch it. This would have been the payoff for my 2 years of being upset with Deion for the way that he came into the Colorado program and kicked all those kids out. I could have watched this dramatic payoff because to me, again, I'm way on the outside looking in. I didn't see the game. But to me, it seemed like there was a group of BYU Mormon white boys that was like, oh, this racially idolatrous rap group pretending to be a football team thinks we're going to be a rollover and we're actually going to put it on them. I've seen some of the highlights. I've seen some of the histrionics of Shiloh and the dancing and all of that stuff. Colorado clearly had the wrong attitude. And as I'm telling you all, the wrong attitude started with, they basically got to the end of this bowl thing and they were out of money. And they built a pay-for-play team, like a lot of teams, but no one is more pay-for-play than Deion's Colorado Buffaloes. And when players weren't getting paid what they thought, they started doing their own thing. And my source also described to me that the Buffaloes spent 2 nights in a strip club that they basically rented out 2 nights in a row, Christmas and the day after Christmas. This was primarily offensive players. I was told, did not involve Travis Hunter because he does not go to clubs, as we've heard from Travis Hunter's girlfriend. He would sit outside a club rather than go inside a club. Travis Hunter, kind of nerdy in a very good way, not a nightclub guy, but many of the rest of the offensive players, maybe a handful of defensive players, all spent 2 nights partying at a Texas strip club. And you wonder why they got boat raced. You wonder why their focus wasn't there. Money wasn't there, and so their focus wasn't there, and it was on, hey, how can we have as much fun as possible? BYU, we're going to run past, we're going to be so much more athletic than them, we'll run past them white boys, and they got their butts kicked and got embarrassed. What a fitting potential end. Now, this is according to, someone that would know that when he looks at the tea leaves, he says, Deion's not sticking around. First Cup Coffee, Christian-owned Patriot Coffee Company that stands for core values, family, and building community across the nation. Go to firstcup.com, use the promo code JASON, and save an additional 10% on your order. And if you subscribe, save another 10% for the life of your subscription. I tend to lean the other direction in terms of I think Colorado's going to pony up, and they got some 5-star quarterback. They got some other good recruits. It appears to me that Deion plans to stay, but this person is close enough to the program that I have to sit back and go, hold on, maybe I'm just reading this all wrong. Deion, to me, has always been about, hey, I'm just really doing this for Shedeur and Shiloh, that, I'm coaching in Colorado. I got involved with coaching to develop my kids. And now that he's done that, what purpose does sticking at Colorado serve? When Deion's positioned himself to be a candidate for an NFL job potentially, he's certainly probably a candidate for a larger Power Force type school. I could see Deion jumping someplace else, and that's what the source says, that Deion may be ready to hit the eject button on Colorado. If he does, would it have been worth it? That's the question I would like to ask Colorado fans, Colorado alums, people in the media. They finish in last place in the Pac-12 his first year. They finish in 4th place in the Big 12 and get embarrassed in a bowl game. Well, the narrative from the Mark Joneses of the world and all the other Deion groupies will be, oh my God, what an unbelievable one season it was. Because I saw something where ESPN had a headline that Shedeur and Travis Hunter wrap up great run at Colorado. And I get that Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy, but great run. They finished last place last year. They finished basically in fourth place in the Big 12 this year. Maybe the bar is so low that one season is good enough, and like, oh boy, now the program's on rock solid footing and Deion can bounce someplace else. If Deion bounces, this was a disaster and it was not worth it. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.